up, you guys? Welcome back to the Stay More podcast. Lauralie here, and with my bestie.
Hello.
Hi.
That was a good intro.
Oh my God, that was so stressful. But thank you for letting me do the intro today. Thank you guys for joining in again for our 12th episode. 1, 2.
Yes.
We're doing
Yes.
this.
I know. It's
It
very
is
exciting.
today is Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, we were supposed to record yesterday. Well, we were supposed to record on Sunday. We've just had, again, like our last episode, hecticness going on. So we're like,
Listen.
can we delay? Can we delay? We always get it done. That's the main thing.
That's the main thing. You guys get an episode every Monday to start your week off right, and we want to keep that going as much as we can for you guys. So, for today's episode, a lot of brainstorming, but we came out with a topic, and I think it's going to be very interesting because both of us are, mid 20s, like
Mm.
early 30s, whatever. It's so
Yeah.
crazy to say.
Ooh.
I know the age thing is I don't know, it hits me every time. So a lot of it life already, and also almost both of us, like, I mean, a decade for me into bodybuilding, and a couple years for you as
Mm.
well. So
Yeah.
um competing internationally, competing, around, the US and the Olympia and the Arnold and all these things. Um and also being public figure, having a
Mm.
channel, your YouTube, being very present into like Instagram and social media and having an audience. There's a lot of noise around us, and a lot of advice that have been given to us.
Yes.
Either we want it or sometimes we don't. But
Yeah.
I think it's just humans, how they are. They would just recommend things to you, or just, I don't think it comes from a malicious place at all.
No.
But
I think I
they try
think
to help their
people
best. But today's episode is about the worst and the best advice we've gotten into our life or into our bodybuilding career. So I'm super
yeah.
excited for that. I'm also even more excited for the amazing people that answered us on our Instagram, because I feel that
Yes.
they always come up with just amazing thing. And Phoebe, you were just saying that also because you're reading it right now. And what's your thought on
Yeah.
what people
Like
have brought?
obviously today, like you said, there's obviously it's the best and worst advice. And I think, like we said, I think we wanted to do this because I think it's nice, like you said, we've gone through so much and we've done so much within the bodybuilding world, within life. So I feel like we could probably definitely give, other people advice and obviously kind of say our, I guess, worst advice that we've heard. Or not. The thing is, there's no worst advice. I feel like worst is such a strong word. Obviously, sometimes it's how you take the advice, I guess. Like
For
obviously
sure.
it could be, I mean, some of these are the worst advice and I'm like, no, I would never ever take that on. But everyone has their kind of own ways of taking the advice. It could be different, could be not. So we're not saying that these are like the things that we're saying like completely terrible, whatever. But this is just not the way that we would probably go through things. But no, what the things I can see at the moment, like what the people have kind of said, some of the good, like the best advice people have heard, or have gotten, it's cool to kind of hear that. And I think it'll be nice for other people to also hopefully hear this as well, and kind of like be inspired from it. And then obviously the worst is very, yeah, not the greatest. So I'm excited to kind of get into seeing that and hearing all of your thoughts and stuff on as well. But so how did you want to do this? You want to go through the best first?
I think I want to hear yours actually first.
Okay.
You know what? Because I've even processed the amount of like noise that I had,
Mm.
over the years, and changing. And I think the most part of it all, for anyone that gets advice around, you can get advice from your family, you can get advice, from your friends, but at the end of the day, it's really, like you said, how you take it. But always reflect on the actual person who's giving you the advice. Like you
Yeah.
you wouldn't take advice, like relationship advice, for someone who's a divorcee per se, because it's
Yeah.
like they weren't like necessarily successful at holding on like your marriage or something.
Yeah.
Makes sense? I mean, it's not that drastic. You can still have, good advice to not get divorced, but if the goal is to have like a healthy relationship, I would look for advice of someone that has a healthy
Oh,
relationship.
100%.
Um,
It's like someone that like is giving advice that's maybe a little bit more toxic or something like that. So for example, there's someone that, can't hold down a relationship or, that's very toxic within a relationship and they're trying to give you advice and say, you need to do this, this, this and holding in a relationship. And you're like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to kind of take that because they're kind of not showing their actions in a way that's like you could take that advice on. Does that make sense? Um,
yes.
it's the
And I
same
don't
with like
know.
bodybuilding as well.
Mhm.
Like, when it's like people that are bodybuilders that like potentially, they say things, I don't know. It depends when it comes to bodybuilding because again, everyone's different, but like it could be a case of like, someone who's never competed before, for example, that hasn't coached, doesn't know anything about competing, and they're like, you should do this. And you're like, well, you've never experienced that. So how can I take that advice from you? You know?
Exactly, exactly. I think it's very hard. And I think there's a beautiful thing about, and I've learned that a lot because I'm seeing more clients. And when they're asking me for advice and they really want to know, most of the time I'm like, the answer is not mine. It's, you shouldn't even consider my advice if you have a coach that you need to follow direction from. Like, my advice is absolutely irrelevant. And it's crazy. I mean, there's been people like paying me to just like listen to what I got to hear. But at the end of the day, like I always come out of like, if this is personal experience, you need to do your own journey. You need to do
Yeah.
your own thing because there's a whole lot of my own experience, my own trauma that obviously carries on to my advice. And I think it's a beautiful thing to just be so able to not call yourself an expert at everything and be like, hey,
Yes.
I'm not the one you should seek advice from. And as much as I want to help you, like this is the best way that I can help you is to tell you I'm not the right person for you. Um,
Mm.
and there's a lot of obviously I think it's a matter of maturity as well for girls that are just like, okay, I'm gonna take your advice and it's take it or leave it type of thing. And that's I
Yeah.
think it's always what it should do. It's not okay, someone says something, you should go by it right away.
I totally agree with that in terms of like, yeah, because again, we could give you all this advice, but obviously, if you're not it also actually depends on if you're in a position to actually want to take on advice as well. So, like, I've had people that potentially, have asked me things that they want advice on, but sometimes they'll either challenge me on it or say, I don't think I'm going to do that, where it might not be the right time for them to take on that advice. If that makes sense, like, or it's the same with like hearing the truth, for example. Like, if they're, if there's something that they need to know and it's the truth and they're not ready to hear the truth or listen to the truth or anything like that, then they're not going to soak in that information and it's not going to be relevant for them, like you literally said. So I think you have to be in a place to be open to taking that advice and be like, okay, yep, I'm gonna whatever obviously you say, I'll take it into my own personal training, like you said. So no, I completely agree with that, and yeah, I think it's very, very true.
Yeah, it reminds me of the conversation we had like last night when you were like, I'm struggling sometimes with just
Mm.
having this happen to my life. And I was like, my advice for you would just to chill and do like meditation and find like, breathing
Yeah,
exercise to not feel that way. But at the same time, I do advise you to just like push harder and hustle. But
yeah.
you're always going to be like, I want to be responsible to support you, whatever decision that you're making. And
Hmm.
I'm also not putting you in a place where if you don't take my advice, like I take it personal. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Oh my
saying?
God. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And just for anyone with context, obviously, we were supposed to record yesterday, and I said to Lauralie, I was like, "Look, I am overwhelmed today. Can we record tomorrow?" And I just said, "Thank you for that." And the way, obviously, like you just said, you kind of just you gave me your advice in that moment, like keep going, like you can do this, and kind of giving me that advice that I kind of need to hear. Sometimes it's not always what I want to hear, but sometimes it's what you need to hear. So I do appreciate you for that. So thank you so much for that.
No, I love
But
you.
no, I love that you can also be the type of person, again, you want to try and be the person that can give the advice, but also not be offended, like you said, offended if they don't take the advice. Like I've been there in my younger years where if I've given out advice and someone hasn't kind of taken it, I get upset about that, like completely, because they're like, oh my God, they didn't listen to me. Is what I said was wrong? Like, was
They're not
it
taking my
good advice?
judgment. Like they don't trust
Yeah,
my judgment. Yeah.
yeah. So, and that's not a reflection on like my advice. That's just the advice is my personal experience of what I've been through, like we've just discussed. So you should never get upset if someone doesn't take your advice. But then also what you should do, I think, is seeking too much advice from too many opinions. Yeah, or too many people, sorry. Like too many
Yeah.
asking for too many opinions. Because then the goal, the kind of like thing that you're searching for becomes very, very blurred. And you start getting a lot of different opinions, which if you can handle them and you're in a place to be able to like handle them and be like, right, I can make the decision now that I've got all these options, absolutely fair enough. But if you're the type of person that will feel overwhelmed and like, oh my God, I don't know what to do now because I've now got all these opinions. I don't know what to do because I'm even more stuck than what I was when I had no opinions, you know?
Yeah.
It's like asking for feedback. Like someone will ask, like I've had people where they'll ask judges, they'll ask the coach, then they'll ask a different coach, they'll ask different bikini competitors about advice on what they should do, physique wise, whatever. And they've got all these different opinions, all different options, which again, to someone that is open to know what they need to do with that information, absolutely fine. But if you don't know what to do with that information, you're just going to feel overwhelmed. So,
I think it's a matter of, do you trust your judgment or not?
yeah,
Do you trust that whatever you're going to hear won't cloud your judgment? And within those times where we're excited or we're just going through like a hardship and challenging times, you're seeking that. Like, but then you realize you're by your own, and now you're not able to connect to your own gut and your own intuition and your own experience anymore because your own experience has been like changed by all these perception and those advice and those opinions. And now you're like, shoot, can I trust my judgment?
yeah,
It's hard to go back to yourself when you made a lot of decision based on other people, and
it's
you
hard.
can spend a lot of time thinking that you're your own person and then realizing like all this time it wasn't me. Like I moved according to opinions of people. I move in order, like according to the judgment of other people, um, advices and all these things. And, you know, we're going to go into it about, the best advice that we got, and the worst. But I think as human, we connect just easier with the worst advice. And sometimes,
Mm,
if you don't trust your judgment, then you don't, most of the time it's just because you don't have the self trust and self-confidence and self-esteem. And I think it's a struggle around around male, both male and female now, but even more
yeah,
so with female. And in the sport it can be abused really easily
yeah,
if you don't have
100%.
that solid core, and that solid trust with your judgment. And we can get gaslight really easier
Yeah,
about the reality. And if you start living someone else's reality because you follow those advice like consistently without, like you just put a blind eye and just go with whomever is in your life at the moment, that just, you need to do this, to do be that, and then this and that, and you don't think twice because you trust them more than you trust yourself. Oh man, the wake up
yeah,
is hard. The wake up is hard when you realize like I've done these things because I trusted that person over my own judgment so many times because of whatever reason, by
mm,
realizing that you never had to go this way to prove your worth or to prove that you were better. You are enough by your own, and your own judgment is enough. And if you do your own mistake, it would be easier to embrace that than explain why. Oh, because he told me this. And it doesn't have a good look on you afterwards when you do things that were not from your own judgment and play
yeah.
like coming from your own heart, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
but
no, that
more
makes complete sense.
according to other people. And it's like, what are you gonna say to the cops when they arrest you because you did some shit? You're gonna be like, oh, but that person told me to do that, and that I would be better if I do this. Like you don't get away with those things anymore, I
No,
think.
no, I
So
completely get that.
you need to take on responsibility take in responsibility and trust your own judgment and work on that a lot.
Yeah, I love that.
So let's go. Let's
Love
dive into it.
you.
I want to know with, I think I want to start with your worst.
It was start off my what? No, start off with the best. Be positive.
It is,
Let's
I
be
mean,
positive. Let's start
babe,
with be
in
positive.
both cases, it's positive. I just think the worst, it's
Yeah.
like, it's going to be so easy to just debunk. But yeah, let's start with
Yeah,
the
that's
best.
true. That's true. I mean, this is all, so the ones that I have for me are just bodybuilding based at the
Yeah.
moment. So those are the only ones that I have that are bodybuilding based. So in terms of, so you want me to do worst advice?
Yeah.
Let's do worst advice. Okay. So my top tier worst advice that I've ever heard is
You're
bikini
already
girls.
upset.
I know, I'm like, because it's such an offense. It's almost like annoying that when I hear it. So,
Okay.
I mean, this is a while ago anyway, but obviously I'd really didn't take account. So, bikini girls don't need to train. That is the worst advice I think I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, it's just the worst comment I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, oh, it's a comment, yeah. But that's one of the worst advice. So it was from someone, that's why I kind of said it earlier, was when for example, when I said a second ago, when people that haven't competed and that don't know much about the sport kind of make comments or kind of give you unsolicited advice without you even asking. A few years ago, someone kind of obviously, I think saw me in the gym, saw it lifted, obviously had muscle, whatever. And someone said to me, and he said, came up to me and was like, oh, do you compete? And I was like, yeah, I compete in bikini. And they were like, oh, you don't need to train for bikini. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, you don't need to, you don't need muscle for bikini. And I was like, and I literally, I remember not even replying to that and just walking away. And that kind of ruined my day. I remember that day very vividly. It wasn't like it wasn't offensive towards me or anything like that, but it was just such an annoying comment because you obviously do. You need to train very hard. You need to have muscle just in
so
general.
ignorant.
Yeah.
It's just so ignorant.
So for me, that's probably the worst advice I've ever heard for when it comes to just bodybuilding in general, because what kind of comment is that? Like, yeah, you have to be completely like, I don't want to use the word, but skinny, no muscle, and all you need to do is step on stage. No, that's not the case. And I think back in the day when I first got into bodybuilding anyway, it was also a little bit like that, where a lot of people in the gym were like, you don't need to train as hard, or you don't need to do as much, or don't need to do this. And it was almost like debunking, like you said earlier, debunking the bikini category. And I think that's always kind of been the same, even for the men's with like men's physique. I feel like a lot of people debunk or put down bikini and men's physique because it is quote unquote, this isn't me saying it is the lower category, but quote unquote people say it is the lower category, it's the lower level because it's the bottom of the tier muscularity wise, if that makes sense. And then it goes up from there.
It's the entry of the sport.
Yes.
But that's at the same time, it's such an ignorant comment because structure wise,
it's so much more.
You and I could never outgrow our structure and be like going figure. We're just, or going wellness. Like there's
no.
So there's a lot of people that their entry level of the sport, it's not bikini, it's wellness because the way they're shaped, and it's figure because the way that they're shaped, like period. So I don't even think that's true anymore. It's a very ignorant comment.
Oh no, but I still hear it. I'll hear like, I think men's physique, I hear a lot more like, oh, your men's physique. I'm like, have you seen Mr. Olympia? Like he has more muscle, like so much muscle. And I don't understand how people can then kind of almost then still downgrade it and say, oh, men's physique. I'm like, have you seen how much muscle they have to have on their frame to even be competitive? Like,
I've heard about the legs, obviously, because of the board shorts.
No, I know, but still.
But most of the men's physique are heavier.
They're outgrowing. Yeah.
Are heavier than classic physique, actually.
They're outgrowing them. They're outgrowing kind of their category sometimes because they're like, well, I want to start training my legs now. I want to start doing this. So I feel like just in general, that kind of comment, like people don't need to train for bikini, or people don't need to train as hard for men's physique, or people don't need to train as hard for that specific category. I think that's probably the worst advice I've ever heard in my life. And it's almost like offensive, if I'm honest. You can hear from my voice, I'm literally like, I'm offended by that comment, not gonna lie. So yeah, that's my worst. What is your worst advice that you've ever gotten?
Um, I obviously didn't. I put some thought into it, but it's hard to like.
Talk about.
I think the worst advice I had was we need to beat X. We need to beat that person. Like now the goal is
Yes.
let's beat that person.
Yeah.
I got so lost in the sport and
Yeah.
I needed to go through like my worst placing in my career to be like, okay, chasing another person
Yeah.
without focusing on me and like you need to outgrow yourself and it's very real,
Mm.
especially in bikini. Anyone that's listening right now, you are who you are and it's beautiful and it's amazing and the only thing you can focus on is outgrowing yourself, literally.
Yeah.
Just bring your glutes up as much, as much as you possibly can within your structure. Bring your waist down as much as you possibly can with your structure. Like bring your shoulders up as much as you can with your structure. Like yes, there's a standard, there's an outline, but guarantee you the X factor that you're gonna bring, for me, the only way to expose my X factor is by having a less conditioned body.
Mm.
And if I go into mode of just, I need to be shredded and lean because of that person, it never, never went well for me, ever.
Yeah.
So stay in your own lane, embrace your beautiful uniqueness. I think this year's Olympia, Miss Bikini Olympia Marine, I think it's probably the best person in order to comprehend that. She has the pink
Mm.
suit. Like no one has a pink suit. Her hair are like, kind of like 80s kind of vibe.
Yeah.
She's very exotic. Her posing is very unique. She's super like sexy and sensual. Like she, by her own, is a little entity. And then you
Mm.
have Jen Dory, who's also so different, but they all are different but following the same standard. And I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like the top four of the Olympia, like I'm gonna repeat it like over and over again, how it makes so much sense because everybody was like at their best and it just flew like it just the flow within those four girls, like I don't think they even have like none of them had the same color suit, I think.
No,
I
because
think
Maureen was
Raja,
Maureen was pink, Daraja was teal-ish, and then was
yeah,
actually in red or green.
that's
I
what I'm
can't
curious
remember.
about. I don't
I
know, we
think
could
she I
look it up.
think she was in red. I think she was in red. I think for the Olympia. I know she's done
Yeah,
like red and green, like she's swapped and stuff. I
yes.
think she was in red, and then obviously Jen was in purple. So I mean, regardless if she was in green or red, it was like the greens was slightly different to what Daraja was wearing anyway. So they were all
Mhm.
different, you know.
And they all had, perky glutes. They all
Yeah,
had the shoulders. So they they had those checkbox, marked, but then they all had their little X factor and it was like really beautiful. And
yeah,
then, my feedback for myself was just like, go back. It's always go back to 2018, go back to 2018, like Lauralie. And I didn't know anything back then. So
yeah,
it makes sense. And then I did that for the Arnold. I just, shut down a lot of things in my mind of like the noise and the this and the that, and I just focused on me and what I could bring with the mindset and obviously the last 2 crazy years of my life, and um, that's how I was able to win. It's considering the judges' input 100%,
mm,
um, meaning like not going ham with my glutes or like going my glutes too big or like growing too big for anywhere. They just wanted the same amount of muscle but just fuller, and I
yeah,
delivered that. It felt so good and I was like, this is the body that they want to see me in consistently every time. And once
yeah,
you hit that, just don't try to steer away from it. Don't get clouded by other people. um you're That's the way that I shine the best.
yeah.
That's the way that I can feel myself the best.
I
Do
could,
you
and the
feel
thing
like the last
is,
Olympia for you was there? Like were you like tapping into Phoebe's best? Like, were you able to look at yourself? Like, because me, like last Olympia, I think 2.5 weeks out from the show, I would not even look at myself in the mirror because I was so lean and so shredded, and my face and everything was just so much that I remember I couldn't look at myself, but the Arnold, I remember people were just like, when are you competing? I'm like, in 2 weeks.
Today.
In 2 weeks. We're like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Because it was so different. But yet again, it
Yeah.
was just the day of the show, I just felt so calm and just so in tune with my body. Everything was just where it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, for the Olympia, and I agree, going back to obviously like that was your like worst advice in terms of not listening to saying we need to be this person or this person. I think that's very good for you to say to not to listen to that because I completely agree. When I have that in my head, like, oh, this person's here, I need to beat this person for this, it stresses me out so much. And this is how I think I used to feel when I was first coming into the pro league. So obviously when the list kind of comes out the week before or whatever, going on Instagram, kind of looking at everyone's kind of things and being like, okay, so I need to look like this, and this will make me beat them because of this. It's not the only case. Like, you can't, there is no way you can justify what you look like next to others. Like, there is no, you do not know how you're going to look. As much as you look at their Instagrams, as much as you look at like their photos and everything and being like, okay, my glutes look better on this side, so I'm going to do this. There is no way you can try and like pinpoint it exactly. There's things you could probably do, like I will say with comparisons, like after show, for example, I'll look at a lineup and say like, for the Olympia, me and Adam sat down and looked at top 10 and we were like, okay, why did this person beat me? She had this. After the show though, not before, because you can then take away like tools and we're open to advice and improvements versus driving yourself into the ground, being like, I need to do this before the show, and it just stressing you out even more. It's a lot. And I completely agree with that. I feel like I perform a lot better as well when I don't have that in my mind of too much of like, I need to be this person, or I know this person does this, or I know, like, just do you. That's all you're supposed to do on stage. Just focus on you, like you said. Focus on you. Do your own thing. I think
And
that,
even after you and Adam sat down, that's just to understand the show.
yes.
And
Oh,
then you
yeah. It's
turn the
not like,
page,
yeah.
and you can't be like, okay, you can't go into the Olympia, Phoebe, and be like, I need to beat
No. Oh,
like
no.
all the names
There is
before
no
you. You know
way.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because how are they gonna show up? Like all these things, like all
No,
of that
you
is
don't
not in
know.
your control.
But
Like
after,
what's in your control is just outwork and find your X factor.
yeah.
And I think you're about 3 pounds up.
Yeah.
What's the conclusion that you guys get from
So
that?
we're conclusion, like, so my stage weight was, I'm bad with pounds, so I apologize for anyone, but my stage weight was around 61 kilos. And
Okay.
this time we're going to shoot for around 2-3 kilos heavier than that. So we're trying to aim for probably around 5-ish pounds up.
Amazing.
Because we looked at the physique of about 5-ish pounds up, and that was where we needed to be. That was where we needed to be, which was around for us, because obviously we came in early. That was for us around 4 weeks out last time. So now just slowly bringing things in, not obviously hammering it too hard or whatever, and then slowly making changes when needed. That's what we're kind of going to look at now, which is exciting. So, but no, I completely agree with focusing on your own shit, because it can become so confusing, so stressful when you look into the nitty-gritty small details, especially if you're an amateur. I think that's even worse, because you don't know who's going to show up either. So you then are actively going to try and go out looking for people that are in your class, go active out and looking for people that are doing your show and focusing on them versus focusing on your own shit, you know? So, I mean, with pros, it's harder because you get tagged in all these pages now and you see the list and you're like, okay, don't look at things. You don't have to. Like, if you do, it is what it is. Like, all of us compare, but it's our advice is to try not do that, because what's the point? Looking at their photos is not going to make you suddenly better than them, or, do whatever. So yeah, I think the best thing to do, obviously, like we said, well, I say best thing to do, but is what me kind of Adam has said. You look at things after the show and say, how can I have become better after this? Now you can improve and see and understand the show, like you said, understanding the show more, and what the judges kind of went through. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, that is bad advice, not gonna lie.
What was your best advice?
So my best advice, I've got two, because I kind of thought that both of them were like pretty good. I was like, I guess I'll say both. You are owed. Wow. Okay, wait. Let me say it right.
Breathe.
You, because I
Breathe.
feel like it needs to be said. I'm like, wait, anticipation. It's like when I text you like one word and you're like, what's she gonna say next? Okay. You are not deserve. No, that doesn't even make sense. You don't deserve anything in bodybuilding. So when I say like you don't deserve anything in bodybuilding, so that's the best advice I think I've heard, because I feel like everyone feels like they deserve something. So I've worked so hard, I deserve this. I've done this amount of cardio.
That.
I've done this amount of cardio, so I deserve this. I'm the hardest worker in the room. I outlift this person. I do this. I do that. No one fucking cares. No one cares. So like,
I think,
unfortunately,
wait, the best advice is that no one fucking cares.
no one, and that to be fair, that was actually my second one. Like, just because you are the hardest worker doesn't mean you'll get the results either, like that you want. So yes, you can be the hardest worker in the room. It doesn't always mean you're going to get the top placement or the placing that you wanted or the look that you want. So try and not put everything on like, well, I did this, so this is mean I deserve this. Because I see a lot of that where I'm the hardest worker in the room, so I deserve this. And I'm like, no one deserves shit in bodybuilding because it is literally done on the day. There could be one person who eats like a bikini girl that eats 2,000 calories every single day, does 30 minutes of cardio, that's it, all prep. And she comes in looking the fucking best, wasn't even hard, and wins the whole show. Whereas someone could literally be dragging their ass through the floor, doing as much as they need to get their conditioning and get last place. So like, who's worked harder? It doesn't matter because it's about who looks good on stage, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And
I feel like, yeah,
if
that's
your
my best advice.
thought process, you are in the wrong sport. Go play basketball, because if you play basketball, you make a net, like,
Yeah.
you win. If you play soccer, you kick the ball in the goal, you win. Bodybuilding is not it. So
No.
find another craft if
Yeah.
that's your way of thinking.
Yeah, because I think I think for anyone obviously that is listening, you know, that it probably is on cardio or doing things like that, that doesn't mean slow down either. Like, that's not me being like, oh,
Oh
you
my
need
God,
to like,
no.
yeah, you need to slow down because like you're not, if you don't work hard, then whatever. That's still meaning put in your absolute fucking all, but understand that the game at the end of it is, it's all about your body. And again, it is about who you're standing next to, what happens on the day. It's not about all the stuff that you've done kind of before that sometimes. And that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow. That is, well, it's not sometimes, it is a hard pill to swallow. Because
It is,
you
because
could
it makes...
put in...
Sorry, I cut
Okay.
you off.
No, you go.
I said it is because you can think of the sport being unfair, but we're all judged on the same day, and that's what makes the sports fair. It's like, it's that day, the judges are waking up like a normal human being, and they're ready to judge according to a certain standard and category, which has been explained before. But it makes it unfair. But at the same time, it's kind of like school, right? If you think about it, school is like, I saw an image.
I love that.
I saw an image back in the days. It was a monkey, an elephant, a giraffe, and a cat. Okay?
What?
They're all... Bear with me.
I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Bear with me, okay? It's an image on Google. I'll send it to you after. Or like, maybe we can put it on the screen. It's a monkey, a giraffe, an elephant, and like a snake, okay?
Okay.
They all have the same assignment. It's like 2 plus 2. Or no. Let's not do math. Let's do like writing, okay? Let's do like this.
Animals don't do math.
They
Love
have
that.
like one assignment, okay, of doing something. Well, who do you think is going to perform better? We're all different. Like, we're all, you're a monkey, I'm an elephant, this girl is, it's all beautiful. We're all part of nature and it's all great. But once we're faced with the same assignment, the snake maybe had, you know, the worst freaking life because he doesn't have arms and legs. Like, it just sucks to be him, you know? And the elephant doesn't go through what the snake has to go through, and the giraffe doesn't go through what the
everyone
elephant
has
goes
their own
through.
issues.
You know,
Everyone
their
has
own
their own
issues.
things.
Yeah. So we're faced with the same assignment, and that's what makes the sport fair. It's like,
It's the same thing. It's the same thing that the judges are looking for. The judges are looking for within the category, each category they're looking for, they have certain markers that you need to hit. You hit them, you look good next to other people doing it, then that makes you the winner. Also, it is done by opinion, like we've said before. It could be one person's opinion, like one judge's opinion, they like this shape, structure, conditioning more. And then the next show, there's a different judge and they like this one more. Like, it all depends who you're in front of, who you're next to, how you show up on the day. Also, how you look in terms of like posing, everything counts.
Oh,
So
the face, like that has
you
been a
could
big
you
thing.
could you
The
could
last Olympic
do
was a big thing with the face because
mm,
my cheeks were gone, and like if it's too intense,
mm,
and when makeup doesn't even hide the fact that you're like trained and
yeah.
you're spunked in, that could be a factor as well. Like it's such an overall thing that you have to consider. So just be smart about it and just don't be petty about it. Like
No.
judge don't even ask you your body fat percentage. Like don't drive yourself into the ground to be 2% unless that's what you want. But it's not because I'm 2% body fat.
So I
Okay,
should
cool,
win the
bro.
show.
Cool,
Yeah.
bro. Like you're still not it, or
Yeah.
you might be it that day, and that might be what they want to see from you. But
Yeah. I
no,
think I
it's
see
not.
that more with the males, like in terms of obviously what I've said. Like I've seen a lot of the kind of, comments and stuff like on Instagram. Again, I could be completely wrong. It's just what I've seen. Like I've seen a few more like Instagram posts and stuff like that about like when they've done shows and guys kind of take their Instagram and they're like, I've worked the hardest I ever have and I can't believe this. And I'm like, I understand the upset because again, we've gone through hell and back to kind of, bring our best physiques.
Oh my God, of
And
course.
it just wasn't you on the day, and that's what you have to be strong enough to then, okay, what do I need to improve on? Go look back, see, okay, was my posing good, was my this good, look back at all these little factors with your coach, get the judges feedback, all the essentials to then come back better than before. That's all it is. That's how simple bodybuilding is. That's all you do. You rinse and repeat. Go on stage at your best. Okay, what do I need to do to be even better? Do it again. Like, do you know what I mean? And I feel like hard work, obviously, that's what creates the best physique. But then, yeah, I feel like that's not the only reason as to why you should win. Like it's not. Like I said, there could be someone that does not even do any hard work, no cardio, no nothing, and they win still just because of genetics, the structure, everything, the way that they look. And you can't change that. You can only change what you do on stage, like we said about before. And yeah, I think people need to, understand that bodybuilding, you don't deserve anything in bodybuilding. You have to earn it. So,
That's right.
yes. Right, what's yours? What's your best advice you've ever gotten?
Phoebe, your advice was really, really good. For my best advice, and the most recent one that I've gotten by my amazing coach, was don't think, just do. And I want to
Mm,
get a little bit of background and context within all that because I wouldn't give that advice to young
anyone.
girls coming up
Yeah.
because there's too much abuse with the sport. And don't think, just do, and have a coach telling you to do 800 calories and 3 hours of cardio and don't give a fuck about your hormones and shit. Like, no, don't be stupid.
Mm,
Like, find the knowledge. But for me, I've been such an overthinker. I've been such a self-sabotager. Like, I'm the
yeah.
queen of self-sabotage. And
Mm,
um finding that when I overthink, I just drive myself into the ground to feel that I earn it more. I mean, it's
yeah.
crazy that after 7 years of knowing that I shouldn't do that, you find yourself being your worst enemy. So for a lot of times, calling Kim and just do. Okay, you put
Mm,
your training on the schedule, you do your training at the best ability that you can. If I know the intensity that I could go. So like some days I would be like more tired, but I was devastated afterwards, like thinking that the the bad training that I still had, which if you train, it's not a bad training. The
mm,
only bad training you have is the one that you haven't done. As long as
yeah.
you do what you need to do, you're fine. But it
Yeah.
was like my training wasn't intense enough. Um, I should have done, an hour before instead of 30 minutes before. Like, it's
Yeah. You're
overthinking the
overthinking the
process,
small thing. Yeah, you're
overthinking
overthinking
the
the
process so
process.
much, and for not like nothing benefits you. At the end of the day, you just need to do what you got to do and check it and go back to bed and do the same thing the next day until the
Yeah.
show comes in. So for me, leading on to the Arnold, when I made the decision to do it, I came back, I put myself a schedule from 7 to 2 p.m. was the same thing every single day. Don't think, just do. And
Mm.
that allowed me to not overthink at all.
Yeah.
At all. So with that being
Thinking,
said, for anyone that's just starting, I think that's the advice that life or God or Allah, whatever you believe in, put into my life because I've reached that level of maturity within the sport that that's what I needed to hear. I don't think that advice is fair to girls that aren't ready to hear that yet.
yeah.
Might not be applicable. So please be mindful of that and
Yeah.
don't take it as a soundbite. Hopefully, Phoebe, you don't take this as a soundbite and
No,
just
I won't.
put it out there. Just don't think, just do, because it's gonna look like dictatorship, and it's really not
With
what it is.
responsibilities, it's like just think, don't do with responsibility, like with
Yes,
knowing what you need to do, you
yes,
know?
just yes. Keep your brain there, but just
Yeah.
don't overuse your brain to just self-destruct yourself for no reason.
Yeah, no, I completely get. I think that is a very good piece of advice because again, like you said, in your situation, your current situation that you're in like times that you've been in, like you said, you overthink. So it's a case of like that advice has carried you through a lot of hard times because you do overthink. So I think that's good for, like you said, anyone listening that is in kind of the similar situation where they do feel like they overthink this, like a lot of things that go into it, and it actually stops them from doing things, you know? So I agree with that. And I think I've been in there as well, where I have overthought things or I've had to literally just have that mindset of just don't think, just do with when it comes to either cardio or training or in prep. I've just been like, I really don't want to do this. This is exhausting. I really just don't think about it. Just do it. That's all you got to
Yeah.
do. That's all the mindset. I like that. I
One
like that a lot.
one step in front of the other, one day at a time.
Yeah.
That's all you can
One
do.
foot in front of the other. Exactly. Right. Let's have a little looky at all these. They're still coming in now, to be fair. So, right.
You were so shocked by the worst. I want to hear the one that just
Okay.
like blow your mind.
Well, let me find it. Where was it? There's quite a few, and it's mainly like food based, and obviously what people have kind of said, like coaches previously, probably, and stuff like that. The worst one where was it? I need to say, where is it? I saw it a second ago, and I was like, that is not the greatest advice at all.
Oh, we could talk about how people have not advice, but like
Most of them are like food things, to be fair. I'm looking at them now, and a lot of them are like food things. I
how
can see a
many
lot of
times
salt things
how
as
many times
well.
did you got your boobs like questioned? Or don't you
Oh
think you
my
should
God.
have boobs?
Yeah. Oh
We're
my
like the
God,
last
yeah.
one standing, Phoebe.
Last one standing. No titty committee. Plus two, that's us. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like anyone that has their boobs done, that's not a dig or anything like that, but I
Oh my
think,
God, you're kidding? It's not a dig,
no,
it's a freaking blessing.
no, but a lot of people, for us, so I've had a lot of things where, like, you know, I've had it a few times where people have said, are you going to get your boobs done for competing? And I said, no, because I would only get my boobs done if I actually, just in everyday life, was conscious about my boobs in general. Like, I will not be getting my boobs done purely for competing purposes. Like, if I was self-conscious about it and you know, don't get me wrong, there's times where I do feel self-conscious where I see someone with, like, a good chest and they fill out a top. And I'm like, I could never do that. I could never. She could never do that. They could never do that. But it doesn't make me want to get them done. If it was, I know so many people, again, we know so many people that have them done now, and it is a self-conscious thing where they want to get it done because they don't feel comfortable in their skin, which is absolutely fine. But we don't feel like that. So there's no
I'm not there
reason
yet.
to, no, I'm not there yet.
No,
There's
I'm
no
not
reason
there
to.
yet. It's a struggle for us you know, padding our, you know, our suit and everything, it does,
Yeah.
listen, it does, you know, like it would be lying if we said that it doesn't change your
Your
physique. It does.
structure. Yeah.
It does shrink your waist, like the illusion of it, you know, the proportion of everything, it
Yeah.
does. But I've also heard that some of the implants are too big, because when you
Yeah.
lean down and you see only the implants, like, and I'm not ready to take the risk. I'm not ready to, first of all, sit down for 6 weeks and not do
I
anything.
know.
I would freak
I
out.
can't. I can't do that. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that's one thing I have actually said before. Like people, I mean, that's not like advice someone's given me. I think people have actually just said like, "Are you going to get done for competing?" Like when I think there was a time like back in the day. I think it was like 2019 time. A lot of people were getting them done, and obviously I think they were realizing that I didn't have them done. They were like, "Are you going to get them done?" And I was like, "No. Like I'm not getting them done for competing. If I
Right.
feel self-conscious in my body." In like normal clothes and just everyday life, then yeah, I would, but not for just competing alone. Um, okay. The worst, or there's one boiled chicken only, no salt as my protein source was the worst advice. One of the worst advice given. That was the
Yeah.
only protein source she was allowed to have. Oh, another one, just drinking protein powder and water for cutting, nothing else was the worst advice she's been ever given. Oh my God. Oh no, this was the one because I couldn't because some people haven't put like worst and then like said it. They've just kind of put like what it is. When someone told me to just keep going when a health issue pops up. I mean,
Maybe. Don't get me started. Like,
what?
I mean,
When there's a health issue that pops up and they say just keep going, don't think about it. Like,
I can think of like so many
wow.
names right now. So many names.
But
Fucked up. Fucked up.
it's it's sad because I not understand. I don't understand that, but I know where it's kind of come from. People kind of feel like, oh, I just need to keep going. We're in prep. We'll figure it out at the end. But there comes a line, and I know everyone's very different. So when she says health issues, it could be something very, very, very vast or very, very small. It could differ, but that just don't think about it. Like, no, that's all I think about, like constantly.
I
Like I told you
I
today, I
think
had obviously a call with someone to look over my bloods because I was like, I want to know more about my body. I want to know more about what's going on inside my body because, you know, I'm getting on now. Like, we're getting older and I'm doing less and less shows. I want to improve my preps each time. So I'm, you know, I want to know what's going on. It's so important to know what's going on with your health when it comes to bodybuilding. It's so important.
your body is going to be in a constant, it's already going to be in a fight, constant fight of like
Mm.
leaning out, being shredded. Like your body doesn't like to be in that
No.
place. And you're going to try to do that with battling a health issue. Like it, it makes zero sense. And I think that the girl, or especially women, and I say that very officially,
Yeah.
to bring a health issue to your coach, it has to be serious enough because we're so used to suck it up. You know, this you're strong women, like you can do anything. And like most of the girls that I know from beginning amateur level all the way to pros, like if a coach tells you to suck on a piece of ice 7 times a day to look the best that you've ever looked, we would suck it up and do
Yeah.
it. Like no question asked. I can speak for myself, and like honestly, I think the girl that wants to compete right now and just look at the best, because that's what, like that's how much dedication we have. But I think if you're serious and you're bringing like concern to your coach, and the response is keep on going, is just so
It's
irresponsible.
not even the keep going, it's don't think about it. What? Excuse
Right.
me?
Like
Like
how?
yeah. I mean,
Yep.
ladies definitely know if there's a health concern that kind of pops up, and again, it's at your concern, you 100% take action within that moment. And yes, it may mean stopping prep, it may mean pushing things back, but your health is very important, and it's something that needs to be taken on the front end of things versus it being an afterthought. 100%. 100%.
Oh my God,
So,
1000%. Yeah.
um, Another one is worse, don't eat carbs. Lol, she said, which is, I mean, that's kind of like, I say, a common one. Like back in the day, how to lose weight, you cut carbs. Like you take all the carbs out. Like, no, you don't have to take all carbs out. Like, no,
No.
that's
Calories in, calories out, kind of.
yeah,
And
yeah,
even that,
exactly.
calories are like all created equal, but calories in, calories out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Another worst one was stepping on stage when you're not ready, which I don't know a coach that would ever
That would
say.
probably be the best advice. Best advice.
Best advice, what, stepping on stage when you're not ready?
Don't step on stage if you're not ready.
I think that's what she means, because she's put worst, stepping on stage when you're not ready. So yeah, I think she means don't step on stage when you're ready. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So she said worst advice. I think someone's actually told her, that's why she said worst, is someone's told her to step on stage when she's not ready. That's what I think she's saying is the worst, which yeah, makes sense. Like if you aren't ready or you don't feel ready to step on stage or it's not your best, then don't go on stage. Or if you still want to go on stage, you've paid all that money, because I know sometimes where, you know, you've come to the time and you've paid everything and you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, do I cancel everything? Go on stage, get the feedback. Get the feedback. Unless you are completely out of your depth and you are not 100% ready at all, then no, you can always pick another show. You can always do a different show. You can always change things and do things differently. But I think going on stage when you're not ready, you have to be very strong to do that. Because I know people that have, I think Amy's one of them. She went on stage. I remember, was it last year? Yeah, last year or this year? Last year before the Olympics. She went on stage, obviously, in the middle, I think it was like in the middle of her off season. So, to get feedback to see if she's built enough muscle.
Okay.
I think she did. I want to say she did that. And she got last call outs, but she was like, I know that was going to be the case. And I wanted to know if I had enough muscle or not. And I was like, that's very, like, I don't think I would personally be able to do that, but I think that's very strong for, yeah, I know. I think it's very strong for someone to be able to do that and be like, right, I am, you know, not in the place, I'm prepping to get into a show, but I want to know if I'm, you know, if I've built enough muscle. So I've started prep. I'm not like in condition. I'm conditioned, but not in condition. And I'm going to see kind of if I need to build or if I need to carry on prepping or I need to build. That's something that's very advanced. Like she's obviously pro and she won a lot of shows and stuff this year and stuff as well. But I think it's a very advanced mindset. So you have to be ready to take on that kind of commitment or do that type of thing. So yeah.
Okay, for anyone who's listening here, you can also take a picture and send it to the judges, by the way.
Oh yeah, sure.
You don't have to do your whole traveling. Like I'm just thinking. I mean, it takes balls.
Or trust your coach and just trust you'll get a good enough coach to trust their opinion. You know, yeah. I feel like that's also it takes a lot of balls. Okay, so and then what else was the worst? All you have to do is have high cardio and eat 1,000 calories to get stage lean. Is the worst advice that she's been ever given. oh god, that's not a good one. No comment. Fuck. The best way to get rid of your soreness is to work out more. That's the worst advice she's ever been given. That's pretty shit advice. I mean, that's kind of like what we were saying before, where it's like, just keep going, just keep pushing, like, you'll get over it type thing. It's like, if you're really fatigued and you need to rest. Like, I think nowadays we used to be like hard people where we're like, no rest for the wicked, no rest. I'll sleep when I'm dead and all that crap. Now it's like, no, we need to rest and recover to make sure that we are rested.
But you're moving forward. You can, don't get me wrong. You want to never stop. Okay. Then 99% chance, half of your workouts are absolutely shit because you cannot tell me that when you're rested and fed, or you just have a rest day and you have the same amount of food, whatever, the rest alone. What happens the day after, like a couple of days after the show, and you're fed and hydrated and you
come to life,
jacked, and you're strong, and so if you want to keep going and not feel sore because you're always in pain, so you can differentiate the fact that you're actually sore. But at this point, you won't even able to get sore. You won't even able to sweat. Like your metabolism probably doesn't work. Like there's a thing that Kim and I were doing a lot the past season, because I've been going on and on for like 2 years nonstop with shows. I would train and he was like touch your muscle that you're training. They say I would train shoulders. Like touch your muscle and see if they're warm or not. Because if you stay cold during your workout, is that just your metabolism doesn't work,
Yeah.
or your thyroid have like issues and stuff. So little cues like that. Be
That's
mindful.
cool.
It's really tricky because again, like we said in our last episode, you do, I feel, need to, when you're in your 20s, just balls to the walls. Like you have the
Yeah.
energy for it. You're a youngster, your joints are fine. But now, girl, we're old. Like we're old. We've been doing
We're
that
getting
for a
old
while. Like my
now.
hips are tight. My lower back is always
Oh
in
my
pain.
God. I
My
was
shoulder
stretching my
is
hips
fucked up.
today.
Like,
I was trying to stretch my hips today and it was so sore. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like, how am I this tight? I'm getting a massage tomorrow, thank God. But it literally, everything cracks now. Everything's sore. I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. But
but you know,
we
who
move
knows? Like if
forwards.
we would have done anything different that we've done, like would we be where we're at right now? You never know.
No.
So I don't know. Just do what feels right for you. Try to get in tune with your body. Like try to really work. Like okay, how it feels to feel. Like what does flat feels? What does full mean? Like don't always try to seek that from someone else telling you it, but like wow, I feel flat right now, or wow, I
Yeah.
feel hungry right now, and just stay in it. Like try to figure out your cravings. Like journal. It's great during your prep as well, and just be like, wow, I'm craving like fats. Like I just want just fats. It could be avocado or just oil, and just craving oil, and be like telling that to your coach, and then your coach should be like, okay, this is what's happening, blah blah blah, and like figure this out, you know? Don't go
Yeah.
and eat fats because you feel like you want to eat fat,
Yeah.
but
I feel like eating fat, so I'm going to eat them.
yeah, no, not like that, but just, you know, like get in tune with your body.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I remember I've told that story before, but I can't remember if it's on the podcast, but I was, you know, deep in prep and I got kind of like sick and I was like, Kim, I just need an orange. He's
Yeah,
like,
you have. Yeah.
and
That makes sense.
he was freaking out. He was just take vitamin C. I'm like, I will, but Kim, I don't want the fucking orange. I swear to
Yeah.
God, but my body fucking wants it. And he was like, okay, do half. I did not even a quarter. I was like, I'm good. That's all I needed. And I, you know, I give the rest of my mom, like whatever. And um I had an amazing workout that day. It just like kept me going. But that
Mm.
happens like once in 10 years, you
Yeah.
know? It's just one of those, I'm like, I really want to try to just listen to my body right now. I
Mm.
think it's worth it. Where we were like, you know, 7, 10 weeks out, like it was far, but you know how we get, so it's 4 ounces, it's not 4.1. You know,
No. It's
yeah.
nothing.
You,
But I
you
think
get
your body is the best tool to listen to sometimes because it's the same like with refeeds, for example. Like your body's telling you you need a refeed, or like at some point it will say potentially. Again, not for everyone, but for me, last year experiences, my body was telling me a lot of the times like refeed. Okay, this is, and you feel it as well. You feel that
yeah.
drain. You feel that kind of rush, and you're like, okay, I need to be refueled right now. And we're either going to listen to it or keep pushing just for a little bit, and you make that decision. Whereas sometimes when you take the decision and have, okay, I'm going to have that refuel that I need, your body thanks you for it because you're like, okay, that's what I needed. Cool. Let's carry on. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No,
yeah.
right now, I want to say it's always the hardest. I mean, it's not yet the hardest part, but I know when my 15 weeks out is gonna hit, I'm gonna be like, dude, I'm so flat. You feel you're in no man's land.
Yeah.
Like my workouts, it's like if I don't take my pump like thing, I don't pump at the gym. My muscle connection is really hard right now, really hard
Mm.
to dig and just get that my muscle connection. Like I need like 40 reps of side laterals before feeling like okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, is it my joint or is my muscle? Like
Yeah.
it's I'm having a really hard time right now just because I don't eat as much of like carbs than in off
Mm.
season. Like of course I'm pumped and like I feel my muscle when I eat fucking cookies. Like there's so
Yeah.
much blood going in my muscle. But now I'm in like no man's land. Like it's like okay, 75 grams of rice, like it pumps you, but it
Not the
pumps me like
same.
all the way to the gym. I can feel my shoulder, and then I get to the gym and I'm like, shoot, it's gone. And now you need to suck it up, go through it, and you know you
Yeah.
slowly chip away, and you chip, and you know I think you get the refeed. Obviously, I could get a refeed right now. I think it would do me amazing if I was
Mm.
not prepping for a show. If I
Yeah.
was intuitive right now, I would have had a burger yesterday, even though I had a steak on Sunday, just
Yeah.
because I felt like I needed, there's a lot of coach that does back-to-back refeeds because the body is just like, working itself out. But I was like, no, this is not the time of refeeding and keep myself full right now. It's
No,
just about chipping away, and
exactly. And that's
it
what you
just takes a
need.
lot of work, a lot of trial and error, a lot of embracing the journey. But if you allow yourself a lot of time and not necessarily like jumping into a show to be like your first thing, but more, okay, I'm going to understand my body, how it works, how to be intuitive, how to kind of follow a plan, pushing through, blah, 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 and have the open communication with your coach, I think that's going to be really helpful for you.
100%. And then a few more. The one was obviously cutting out salt, which a few people have actually said like the worst advice they've heard is obviously to cut out salt in a prep, which no, just no.
It's a very OG thing, and
Yeah, and I
my
spoke about that
parents
before as
my
well.
parents are anti salt, and as much as
So
I
is
can
my dad. My dad does as
as
well.
much as I explain to them, there's nothing that goes through, so it's fine.
Yeah. And then another one was obviously bulk. Someone just said bulk, enough said, and then that was it. Enough said. And then the best ones that people have said, let me go to the bottom. The best one is to take each day, day by day, train with intention. Don't rush things. Is the best advice they've heard, which I think is a good. That's very good. Like obviously, you pretty much said that as well. Train with intention and take every day, day by day, when it's in prep, when it comes to prep, and that's just in life in general. Taking day by day, like you don't have to rush the day. You don't have to be like, oh my god, I've got to do. Like take a step back, think about what you need to do, and then go from there. Take it by that. So I think that's good.
You need to enjoy the journey more than the idea of becoming a champion. That's like the quote that I always run by.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I love that.
you need to embrace the work more than the idea of becoming a champion, like every day.
The
Like sticking.
process.
Yeah.
The process, 100%. And then where is another one? Another one is there will always be more shows. Take care of yourself, which actually goes very much hand in hand with what we were kind of saying earlier. The best, like that's the best advice she said is there will always be more shows. Make sure you take care of yourself, which is
And
very good.
all the judges for the last 3 years, you will hear that for them too. So now, if you're not following that advice, you're not listening to the judges. But Gary Udit is going to tell you that. Cindy Williamson is going to tell you that, and they're top judges.
Yeah. Well, I had
Top judges.
Becky. I had Becky, fit Becky. I don't know what's her
Vicky
second name?
Clausen. Vicky Clausen.
Becky
Yeah.
Clausen. Becky Clausen. She, when I obviously, did the post about the not doing the Arnolds and that thing, obviously at the beginning of this year, she was one of them that commented underneath saying that she literally said there will always be shows, you will come back your best. Like, don't worry. Like, and for a judge, obviously, to comment that for me was very obviously warming, but obviously it shows that judges don't want you to be grinding into the ground and doing the absolute worst things possible to get on stage and doing die hard things, because that's not what they want bodybuilding to be. They want bodybuilding to be longevity and, for you to be able to sustain a good relationship with yourself when you're up there as well.
Yes. A happy endeavor. I remember Gary saying it should be a happy endeavor. And again, it goes back to you saying about you're not going to earn anything because you're miserable. Like, it's not because I'm so miserable. It won't come to you.
Yeah.
Better be and I always told myself, as soon as I'm not happy doing the sport, I quit for sure.
Yeah, I think that's good, because again, like, I can't do something that I don't enjoy. I can't do something that I don't have passion for. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need to feel the enjoyment from what I'm doing. Obviously, there'll be times where I don't want to do my cardio, so that's not enjoyment, so I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to have that mindset, because I've got to do things that are hard sometimes, and that I don't want to do. But if it's, I don't like this sport anymore, but I'm going to carry on doing it anyway, no, I can't do that. I can't fake passion and wanting to do something like this that is very like strenuous on your body, and not enjoy it, like, and not enjoy the process and not feel like excited about stepping on stage, or getting the rewards from it, like going out, making friends, going to seminars, and like experiencing what bodybuilding has to offer, not just about you getting on stage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very good advice. Another one was best advice was prioritize your sleep was a massive game changer. Very, very true, because I feel like we're always very, very go, 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 and then obviously we'll sleep like my sleep is okay. I don't know what yours is like. I sleep ish, okay-ish in prep, not great. Depends obviously if I take any supplements to like get to sleep or anything, but I don't always get the greatest sleep, and I feel like I don't as last year I think I prioritized it a lot more, and I made a huge difference, such a big difference in my body.
Honestly, the only PEDs that anyone should take is sleep. Just
Yeah,
like treat it as
we
like
need that on a t-shirt.
you honestly feel like you're fucking superhero if you get your
Yeah.
sleep. If I get my sleep, I feel hydrated in the morning. My cravings are gone. My emotions are way much well regulated, obviously. My energy at the gym is skyrocketing. And like I normally don't, sometimes I don't even take caffeine at all day
Yeah,
to keep me up. Sleeping is, oh my God, your skin is different. It's the most underrated things. Like
100%.
1000%. Just
100%.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know we got so much comment of like obviously that side of the sport, but guys and gals, do your training, do your nutrition, and sleep the fuck out of yourself, and you will achieve amazing things.
Yeah.
Amazing things.
You'll see
Like,
very, very big changes in the physique for 100%. I think 100%. Okay, last one for the best advice was don't look up to the girls you'll be competing against on social media. That's the best advice she's had. So, and I think that's kind of what we were kind of, the reason I said that as the last one, because I feel like that was kind of what we were talking about earlier in terms of
yeah.
don't look up to the girls that we were, that you are competing against, or don't, I think it's like, yeah, it's exactly what we kind of said earlier. So I feel like that's a good piece of advice in terms of not like looking at your competition and stuff. That's exactly what you said earlier. So yeah, I feel those were really good ones. I feel like they're still coming in. There's still a few coming in. Oh, no, one more was it's called bodybuilding. You won't improve season over season if you are scared to grow. That's the best advice she's had.
Why would someone be scared to grow though? I'm so confused.
People are scared to put on weight. To put on weight, they're scared to grow, they're scared to get
The
bigger.
scale goes
Yeah,
up.
yeah. As in, like, you're not going to, it's called bodybuilding. You won't improve season over season if you are scared to grow in terms of like get bigger and stuff like that. Sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does make sense.
Oh, well, you're kind of like, I can't believe people are scared to grow.
I mean, no, I get people are scared to body dysmorphia is fucking real. Like,
Yeah.
I get that. Um, and I think eating disorders have different levels, and I'm not an expert at it, don't get me wrong.
No.
But if you stick to a plan that makes you petite and the goal is to get you show ready, but you treat that as your life plan, I think that's an issue.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the goal of the plans that you're on or the way that you treat your body and your mind, it should not always be, I'm 2 weeks out from a show.
Yeah.
I'm 2 weeks out from a show. When in reality, you're not. And you, depending on your feedback, you probably need to stop treating your life like you're 2 weeks out from a show all the time if you're expecting to make a difference
Yeah.
and look different on stage,
Yeah.
because you do need to get your hormones regulated, and there's a lot of things that are not functioning in their best optimal ways during contest prep, and we understand that for the time being. But if you think that not having your period is YOLO and it's a way of living, I don't think you're putting yourself in the most optimal way of growing and reaching the potential that you're just holding yourself back to tap in the potential that you
Yeah.
never know you have if you don't allow yourself to just be like,
Yeah.
for a
Open to
fact,
change. Yeah.
for a fact.
It's open to change, it's open to like if the judges are openly telling you to you need to grow, you need to get bigger within the sport or whatever, and you're not doing that because you don't want to or you don't think that's right or I don't know. I think that yeah, I do agree with that. I think it's needed. It's needed in bodybuilding. It's needed to make sure that we take rest, recovery, and all that type of thing as well. Like taking care of ourselves. Our improvement seasons, our off seasons are to recover and improve. That's what they're there for.
Yeah. And growth, I understand that growth can be very uncomfortable for a lot of
Yeah.
people, but damn, you're really, I just think, wasting a lot of your potential if you're not
Mm.
able to tap into that and just do the uncomfortable for a while. I don't
Yeah.
know what's more uncomfortable, not doing and not risking anything and just know that you're remaining the same, or what's more uncomfortable to just, be not at your idea of an ideal
Yeah.
weight for whatever reason that you're putting your worth into your body image for whatever reason
Yeah.
and you're
Or
not able
scale
to do it.
weight. Or scale weight. That's yeah, that
Yeah,
sucks. But yeah.
I don't know why people are scared. It's intimidating to grow, maybe.
I understand it. I understand it. I think it takes time to understand. Like for us anyway, like I think we kind of have some I've never kind of had that. We've said this obviously many times before. I've never had that kind of issue with the scale. Obviously, I've looked at it and been heavy, and I'm like, oh, we're a bit heavy, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's never stopped me from still having something I wanted if I wanted it, or like, it's not stopped my relationship with food or the relationship with myself or the relationship with my body. But I understand why it would for people. I understand it. I think obviously people's lengths in their journey obviously are different in terms of like where they are in terms of like how they think and all that sort of thing. So I understand that. But I
I was
do
about to
think,
say,
yeah.
I was about to say growth looks very different on each and every one.
Yes. Because if you said to someone that was like 4 foot nothing, you're gonna put on 25 pounds post show, what I put on 25 pounds post show, and I'm 5'9" or 5'8.5", it's gonna look so different on you. So obviously it's very different for each person, and I feel like when it comes to numbers, it's a very hard game to play at post show and how much you need to lose to get on stage and stuff like that as well, because you don't know if you're new into the sport or anything like that and you don't have a stage weight. It's hard to aim for a number. It's hard to aim for something. You know what I mean? You don't need to aim for a number. You need to aim for your shape being the best it is. And that's just for anyone, really. We could go into that a lot, but we've already spoken an hour and 15. But yeah, I liked that episode a lot, actually, to be fair. There was loads of other kind of, bests and worst or bad and best advice that people have given over, but I think that was kind of good, and I hope you guys liked our best and our worst advices that we've ever received and all that type of thing, and kind of hopefully learned and taken away from what other people have said as well, because I think that's why that's why I kind of always ask Instagram as well, because I think it's good to see or hear other people's experiences. Like this is all about experience, our experiences, other people's experiences, and kind of sharing that on to other people, and hopefully other people can kind of see things from different viewpoints and stuff.
Perspective is a really real thing. So
100%.
we appreciate you guys for sharing that with us. It's very precious, that we have the
Yeah.
ability to like tap into some of like the most vulnerable moments for a lot of people, when you get advice in your life. And the reason why it's the worst advice, it's most of the time because you follow that advice and it became the worst advice,
Yeah.
unfortunately. It's part of life, it's part of the journey. So wish you guys all the growth. I think this
Yes.
year, it's about growing, but also growing through like within. So I really enjoyed that episode, my little Phoebes. I'm
Yeah,
wishing
I
you a
love
beautiful
that.
day.
I
I'm
love
wishing
that so
everyone a
much.
beautiful day.
Yes, of
And
course.
we're tapping into 16 and a half weeks out from the Olympia very soon.
Oh my God, that's It's come when you say, I feel like 16, 15 weeks out, you're like, okay, shit's getting real now. Like shit
Girl,
is,
15 weeks out is gonna be my first check-in, and I'm like, wow.
how are you feeling for it? Are you excited for it? Nervous for it?
I'm freaking out.
Don't
Yeah,
freak out.
I'm freaking
Don't
out.
freak out. Why?
I'm freaking out. Just that's the mood today. I'm freaking out, but
Okay.
it'd be
It's
fine. It'd be
okay.
fine in 2 weeks. I'm gonna see Kim. Kim most likely won't freak out, like 99.999%.
I get
Nothing
that. I
can shake
understand
that
that
man.
though.
Nothing can
Yeah.
shake it because he's just like, you have a healthy body that we're able to like achieve something. Period. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing else. Honestly, there's nothing else to say. Like, why worry? Why freak out? Like, you have your body. It's healthy. God bless. That's all I need,
Yeah.
and that's all my coach need. And then we just do.
Go
You
from
know,
there.
just don't think, just do. It's gonna be fine.
Yes. I love that. Well, thank you guys for listening, watching, wherever you watched on. Please make sure you like, subscribe, rate, all those fun things, comment, all that fun stuff, because we love to hear from you. And do you know what someone actually said to me, or said to on the Instagram? We should get merch for the Olympia or something like that. So if there are any if there are any quotes that you guys have heard us say that you like, please comment down below because we'd love to hear it. And love you guys as always. I love you, my love. And I
Love
hope
you
you're
so
doing
much.
well. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.